Sup Shredders, Logan aka Spiderhands here. Just before we get into this review, just a disclaimer. Basically, in this review, I mispronounced the musician's name. In this review, I've said Deann Rene. It's actually Deann Rene, so Deann Rene. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Please ignore me if I say Dean. I'm meant to be saying Deann. It was an honest mistake, but yeah, just so you know, Deann Rene. Enjoy the review. Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a track from an act named Deann Rene titled Scared So Much. And if we switch over to here, we have the track on the screen on Music Bee. We're actually going to be listening through this track from start to finish. You're going to hear what I think, but just before we go into it, this is actually from an upcoming album from Deann Rene. This track is released, I think, on October the 20th. And the full album with the 10 tracks will be out in January. So without further ado, let's just listen through from start to finish and hear what we think. Let's go. Oh, lovely work with that organ there, dude. And that bass in there and the nice roundness of the drums. Great flow, man. Great tone.
I do everything that you order me to do. Believe your lies and deal with your demons.
Because this is my first time listening to Deann. She's got an exceptional voice, eh?
What I thought I was supposed to.
Great work with the
and sacrifice freedom, but words you say can be so
head voice.
evil.
Fantastic.
In a room full of scared and desperate people, you scream at them before they know what they've done. Their voices get choked, but they don't seem to run.
Great dynamic range to this performance as well, like for real, you know, just the sound of that flam on that snare and then boom, you know, nothing. It slaps. Excellent effort. Yeah, and there's absolutely no filler as well. I thought we were going to have a bit more time for the instrumental accompaniment, but no, she's back in with the vocals.
You scream at me and it's something I'll have to take. I work so hard to be set up to get burned. Being here seems like a big mistake, but every day I feel so hopeless. I'm a paycheck away from being homeless. So like the others.
A paycheck away from being homeless. It sounds like a terrible position to be in. You can really emote with the singer through this performance. You really feel for her, you know?
Do what I'm told, but there's just something I gotta know. Do you feel good when you scream so much? Do you feel good? Maybe get some rush. Do you feel good? Does it make you feel so proud when you scream so loud? To make everybody scared so much.
So this is basically her calling out this person who's patently abusive or just really awful to be around, you know, violent with their voice. The bluesy kind of cascading harmonies and just those guitar arpeggios, those broken chords, the delay on them or the reverb, and it's just very somber, isn't it? It's got that classic kind of build at the end of the chorus going back into it, but we're not going anywhere positive with this.
You make everybody scared so much. We're like a room full of sad, abused children. Daddy's getting mad and we don't know why. We look down and we tiptoe around him, doing our best to try not to cry. What gives you the right to unleash your terror, making us kids become its bearer? Did someone teach you?
Making our kids become bearer, you know, without going into, I can sort of relate to these lyrics a little bit. I think a lot of people will be able to, which is a shame. Very powerful lyrics, very powerful vocal performance there. We sound like we've been there. And just the theme behind it is so sad, you know, but it's not trying to color the vocal performance too much. I think we are aware that we don't necessarily want to, how do I say this? We don't necessarily want to sort of reduce what Deann is able to do on the mic. You know, we just want to let her do her thing and speak her truth.
Someone
little bit extra development on the drums to match that vocal fry. That's cool.
When it screams so loud to make you scared so much, to make you scared so much.
Great voicing of the solo, by the way, because I do look forward to reviewing this album. Oh, that dissonance there is charming, isn't it?
Well, looks like it's my lucky day. Your eyes wide, you're lunging and turning red. It's time for me to endure your rage, accusing me of things I've never said. I don't know why you got this way, but I think I've decided it's my last day. Sad you treat people the way you do, but life's too short to live with this abuse. Cause it doesn't feel good when you scream
I mean, it's incredibly powerful, isn't it? It's just someone saying, no, I've had enough.
so much. It doesn't feel good when you make me hush. It doesn't feel good. Oh, and I am much too proud to hear you scream so loud. 'Cause I ain't scared so much.
I mean, fantastic first impression of what Deann Rene is all about.
I ain't scared so much. No, no. I ain't scared so much.
Oh, the harmony at the end. That's the mark of a classy, self-aware vocalist, is knowing that we don't want to color that part too much, you know? If we can get away with just being the focal point and it being interesting and engaging enough, don't add another 3 layers on top. Minimalism isn't bad.
So much.
Sick. Because this is the conclusion of my review of Scared So Much by Deann Rene. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious what this track is about. It's about someone getting screamed at, a lot of people getting screamed at by this person who's just patently abusive and just making their lives living hells. And as we go along, especially after that solo section, or maybe before or after it, we get to a point where we're like, actually, I don't have to deal with this from you. I'm just going to leave. And, you know, we explain it and then we walk out. It's a very classy affair, you know. You can feel the anguish, the tension, the frustration, how awful it is in the vocal performance. But it also helps that Deann Rene is just such a wonderful singer, you know. She's really smashed it out of the park. I've got no real complaints about it. I think that it's such an authentic performance. It's someone who's truly there, been there, done that. And while I am sad to be able to sort of kind of imagine that's the case, at the same time, I think it's important to show respect for someone who is that talented, you know, but not just, you know, as a singer, but that we got to experience that intimacy with her and we got let into a world like that is a privilege. I think when I listen to a track like this, I wonder, okay, so we got the ornamentation, little vibrato parts, some vocal runs there, a little bit of vocal harmonization at the end. You know, we were not necessarily conversational. Obviously, we were singing, but like we weren't like singing at the listener. We were trying to sort of like tell them what was going on. There's a bit of vocal fry occasionally. It's a damn near flawless vocal performance. I don't think we should have really changed the thing. I mean, the structure of it at 5:35, this is a long track, but at the same time, I think that real estate was used well. Really, I don't know what you could have done to make this less or more impactful. Well, actually, no, if you'd shortened it, we might have gotten rid of a verse that had a little bit more context in it. Storytelling is a strength of the song, which I really appreciate. You really can just completely mess up an experience that a listener's having with your track if you don't elaborate enough, or if you elaborate too much. You know, if you give too much away and don't let the listener actually have to think about it or process it. You know, you don't want to spoon feed. It's that fine balance there. But I think we had the right amount of verses and choruses to, you know, develop a story and then iterate the main hook, and then we had that interlude there with the solo session just for a bit of a different lead voicing, and that's all we needed sequence wise. The main motif was fascinating. We had those kind of bluesy kind of majorish lifts there. Boom. You know, we had some sevenths with an extension set, which is really sad. We might have been hanging around that A minor chord, but I mean, either way, look, genuinely lots of love just for that motif there. I think that it was kind of neutral. It was a little bit neutral in the sense that when I hear this track, I think, yeah, okay, it could have been about lots of different things, but I think, again, Deann is what made this track what it was, you know. It was the icing on the cake, but that icing was super important. The actual instrumental performance was damn near spotless. I've got nothing really bad to say about it. I mean, like, the drums were phenomenal with the little fill works, mainly supportive of the rest of the rhythm and harmony section. You know, the bass was walking around the fretboard a little bit, but stuck to those root notes and within the triad and the scale shapes. The guitar there, you know, was best friends with the organ and would go between those two would harmonize out, you know, together really well, especially as they occupied a similar frequency spectrum. So that makes a lot of sense there, you know. How they managed to float that in the mix stereo field without them getting too sort of like grubby with each other, I don't know, but that's just basically indicative of the talent that's on display here. What else do I want to say about it? I genuinely think that in addition to that, we've got a situation where the production, recording, mixing, mastering was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I want to say more about the organ, but the organ was basically more or less playing the harmonies or the chords that the rhythms were either arpeggiating or playing. The lead guitar solo was more of a representation, I think, of the feel of what the vocalist was going through at that point in time. Like that kind of rough, gritty voicing, that distortion, that disturbance because of this behavior, that resentment there was epitomized by that. There weren't a lot of notes in there, but the ones that were there mattered, and that's just typical of the style of music that we're coming to from this bit. Yeah, it's a spectacular performance, and the recording, mixing, and mastering was fantastic. You know, we have a really well recorded vocal tape performance. You know, like it's very nice and crisp, and all the words came through really well, and we nailed the take. The rest of the instruments were I assume mic'd up and performed elegantly, and great responses. And from the original recordings, I doubt they would have needed to do too much cleaning up in post. EQ wise, maybe a bit of filtering, a little bit of compression on some of the parts of the kit and stuff. You know, there wasn't any side chaining on the kicks or anything like that. I don't think. It was all nice and natural, and great dynamic range there as well. The limited compression was fine. It was loud but wasn't too loud. Ultimately, this is just a really fantastic time that I've had with because this is my review of Scared So Much by Deann Rene. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show Deann some love via their various social medias. I'm sure this will be on major digital streaming platforms as of October the 20th. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either hell more than ever, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.